We're going to start off our meeting with Pledge of Allegiance, and Marty's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need a motion to adopt the agenda as read.
So moved. Motion.
I need a second.
Second.
Amy, all in favor? Aye. Raise your hand. Unanimously, okay. I need also approval of the minutes for the March 28th.
Motion to approve minutes as presented.
Okay, all right.
Second.
Okay.
So, one quick thing, where is it? Agenda item 3, where it says discussion of plants on Main Street, presenter Marty Callahan, should that be Kirk?
Yes.
Okay, we can change that.
What are you looking at? It's the minutes.
Page 2, under agenda item 3, it shows presenter Marty, I think it should be Kirk.
Yes.
We can just do it as it is.
No, the minutes?
Yeah, okay,
We're just
yeah.
gonna do it.
Okay, because so we need to amend that.
Motion to approve minutes as presented with the one amendment.
Okay.
Second.
Second?
Second.
Everybody okay with that? Raise a hand. Okay, you guys, okay? Thank you, Parrish.
Yes, sir.
Not overlooking
If you'll call for a vote on the one motion and second and let it fail. There was a motion and a second on the floor.
that. Oh, that's right. So I mean, that would be the first on the approval of the minutes, yeah. Can I have a motion for the approval of the minutes for March 22nd? So,
Well, I made that first motion. You seconded, and then we had discussion. I made a second motion to amend. So that very first motion and second needs to be called for a vote. My expectation is that it would fail, and then that motion will be done away with. We can move to the next item.
okay,
So we'll just call for a vote.
yeah, I need a vote for the, what is it going to be called? Amendment?
The very first motion that I made.
First motion, that's correct.
It's gonna-
So can I
Make a motion.
make a motion for the first
Just a vote.
vote?
Yep, so what we'll do is, the very first motion I made was to approve the minutes as presented. Marty, you seconded. There was discussion, there needed to be an amendment, and so that needs to have a vote called on it. And what'll happen in that, I expect that motion to fail because there was an amendment.
Correct.
I made that second motion, there was a second to that, and it voted. So if you'll just call for a vote on the very first motion that did not include the amendment, that will fail because there was a second motion made.
Okay, so can I have a vote for the first motion on the amendment? And so can I have show of hands
In favor?
in favor? And there's nobody showing, so.
Correct.
Okay,
There you go.
okay, sorry about that. Thanks, Kurt.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so the first old business is discussion of the quotes on the plants for the Main Street, and I'm going to ask Kurt what the quotes are from the two companies, landscaping companies that we have prepared for us.
Yes, so DDA members and chairman, as you're well aware, there's been some action on Main Street. First, I'd like to address the action that's been occurring on Main Street. Keep Pickens Beautiful has gone ahead with some of the plantings and what their initiative was in the beginning from dating back to last year with Mayor Lawrence. That is not included in what our initiative is, and so we're going to be having some discussions with that organization based on the action this board takes. I will say nothing they have done is not aesthetically pleasing. It is pleasing, it's just not, I believe, enough. And so this board asked me to obtain quotes for professional services from companies. I have done that. Provided in your packet, you'll see two quotes. The one is from Hemlocks Landscape Management. You'll see that they have different options. When I reached out to these companies, I did ask for options. The first is a maintenance plan with the idea that there are colorful plantings in the spring and the fall that will need maintenance. The second option is that the colorful plantings and shrubs without maintenance. And then the third option is let's plant something completely low maintenance. And so with Hemlocks, you'll see the different options listed. And then also for the next quote, you'll see widespread lawn care provider quote. And there are actually 2 pages. One is for the maintenance, and it describes what the maintenance includes. And then the other quote is the description, which is the installation of the actual plantings. Neither of the quotes provide specifics on what plants, but these are professional companies. They understand the area, they've walked the area, they're very familiar with it. I actually met with them on Main Street. So they're going to use their professional judgment, and you'll see that in their quotes. Plants may vary based on the needs, such as sunlight, which direction, and rainfall. So based on that, and what Keep Pickens Beautiful has done, and then of course what the City of Jasper has, I mentioned via email that the City of Jasper is still holding the grates for the planters that are currently being looked at in 25 boxes. And so it's important to know that this is something that's not going to go away based on a maintenance plan and what the project holds now. We of course want to move to a long-term solution, but the long-term solution may be 5 years or 10 years. But the city also has the ability to go back and place the grates in, which means removing what's there and then placing trees or shrubs. And so there are multiple options on the table for this board. We can certainly look at a hybrid. Looking at the numbers, I'm prepared to make a recommendation to the board based on the quotes provided. You'll see Hemlocks option number 1, the basic annual planting. It says 24 plant beds. I spoke to Jason today. I'm sure it's 25, so you can look over that. I'll make sure it's 25. These will be replaced each spring and fall. 180 spring annuals, 216 fall annuals, both 4 inches, and that's $1,600 per year for the installation. The maintenance program down below is for the 25 plant beds. I'm going to go ahead and call it 25. At $1,800 a year, you'll see that it's the routine maintenance for the beds. It's include necessary pruning, weeding, and debris removal, which I think we can all agree is necessary. We like to have extra set of eyes on those boxes. It does not include leaf removal. You know that we have large trees in downtown, and the accumulation thereof. We'll work with the city manager and the city staff on that. And then down below that, you'll see the maintenance program for the crepe myrtles that are currently in place at $1,200 a year. If you look at that, that comes to a total of $4,600. And then you can compare that to the widespread lawn care quote, which does have the installation of the 25 boxes, and it does describe the drought-tolerant plants based upon availability, and then the maintenance plan. So this maintenance plan is different from Hemlocks because it does describe 24 visits per year. I did reach out to Hemlocks asking them what their maintenance plan included as far as visits. I don't have a response yet. And the maintenance for widespread says keep weeds out of the planter boxes, and that's for 12 months. That comes, if you add those two together, that is $6,480. Now with all of that being said, your 2 quotes together are there. Keep Pickens Beautiful, again, has placed certain items in some of the planter boxes, and both of these companies are in agreement that the dirt, the soil, and the mulch that was added is exactly what was needed, so that's something that will not have to be replaced. And these professional companies were in agreement with Keep Pickens Beautiful that the plants that are in place in the planters right now are suitable for this area. And so if you're asking for a recommendation from me based on this, I would probably consider Hemlocks Landscape Management with option 1 to include the maintenance plan, and that maintenance plan can include the crepe myrtles. But what I would add to it is that this be in addition to what is already in place in those planters. I do not see any reason why Hemlocks could not operate with what is currently in place. So we would actually basically get more than what we're paying for, using Keep Pickens Beautiful, what they have in place, and the addition of the professional services. That should not be an issue at all. And I'll be happy to answer any questions from the board.
So, anybody got any thoughts or recommendations?
So if I'm reading this correctly, from the Hemlocks bid, option 2 and 3 is like an additional thing. right?
Yes,
Like option one is the basic annual plantation or planting every year. And then 2 and 3 would be like a step up with some shrubbery, correct? Which
not exactly, no, sir. Option 1 is basically the highest maintenance plan. It is the most aesthetically pleasing plan. This is a high traffic area, and so option 1, while it comes in at a lower cost, the ones below it, option 2 and 3, are larger plants, and then there is, of course, you would have no maintenance with those. Those are low maintenance to no maintenance.
Okay.
Option 1, if you look at option 1, you also must include the maintenance program. So it's 16 plus 18. And then the 1,200 for the crepe myrtles. So what really is appealing to me is that this could be inclusive of all downtown and include what's currently existing.
Okay.
So if we did option 2, which is a bigger plant, and had assorted perennials, and then you add the maintenance for the crepe myrtles, you're talking about 3,600, whereas you're talking about 3,400. It's $200 difference.
So, no, sir, the one I'm talking about is 4,600.
Oh, 4,600, yes, because you got the maintenance, that's correct.
And understand, if you do go with option 2 or option 3, those include the addition of shrubs, which would, not instantly, but they would at some point. That would basically require the grates to be placed back in from the city on certain squares or certain boxes, if you will. And so, ultimately, I think the best plan, and again, that's why I'm going to reference option 1, is what's currently in the ground plus what is being proposed here, leaves you open for options later down the road. I'm looking at it later this year when we go through a budget cycle and budget preparation plan that we're presenting to the city. This, of course, will again be a topic that we'll go over. And so if we do this maintenance plan and decide for the next year that we do want to go with more shrubbery or more trees, that's an option at the time.
I have a question about budgeting.
Yes.
Would this come from a DDA budget, or would our recommendation need to go before city council and city incur this?
No,
as an
ma'am, this
ongoing
would,
budget?
this would come out of the DDA's budget. There was either $9,400 or approximately $9,500 non-budgeted items. Those funds are sitting available in the account. And so this money, the $4,600 that I'm proposing, would come directly from the DDA's budget in place right now.
Okay.
Now, I'll tell you, the reason I lean towards option 1, the vibrancy, the walkability of our town, I think this will add a great aesthetic. And there's nothing wrong with going through this for 1 year and seeing what the true best option is. This also allows us to keep the partnership with KPB alive. They've done a great job, even though it was not in line with what this board asked or recommended. Those conversations will be had at a later time. But those plants that are in the ground now, this can be in addition to that.
Okay, I got a question, Kurt. So I had some light money for Christmas, and I had some additional money that's there. And I'm supposed to be using those for lights, and just like when Marty gets his money, we gotta do this in the spreadsheet to keep up with it. So that 9,600 is not actually 9,600, it's not that much less, but I think it's around 9.
Okay.
Anyway, we gotta identify those items,
Yes.
so in the future, so we'll know what they are.
Yes, the funding is available in the DDA's account.
Okay, that's all, I'm just trying to make sure we're aware of that.
What would be the timeline as far as getting the plantings in?
So right now is the busy season for both of these professional companies. They could not give me an estimate until we are ready to move. Simply put, when I ask, every day is different. And so I'm not sure.
Yeah, gotcha.
It would not be long. It would be quick because now's the time to plant.
So the watering of these plants, would that be done by the Hemlocks or whoever, or would the city be helping with the watering of the plants?
So the watering is not included. The maintenance includes pruning, weeding, and debris removal.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Mhm. And again, these professionals are going to place plants that they believe are best for that area.
Sure.
So I'm sure that if I ask the city manager, we'll work with our crews to help us initially with watering. It would not be a long-term solution, it would be only for the infancy of the plants, just for them to establish.
The financial part of how we're paid for it, we do this year with money that we believe we have. This is an annual thing.
Correct.
We've got to, when we look at our budget for 2023, we've got to,
Yes.
you know, we're gonna go backwards or forward, so we're gonna have to, you know, decide that expense. And we've not even really talked about other expenses that, you know, going forward for this year. So I'm not sure if we're ready for that expense. Or are we?
Correct, and that's why when we go through the budget planning process for this board, for the next cycle, I think it's really important for us to look at longevity, sustainability on these. And so we may, you know, in a few months' time, have a different recommendation based on flowers versus shrubs and the amount thereof, or the ratio. We may have 12 planter boxes with shrubs and then 12 with flowers. Those are all things that we can certainly address. The goal that this board set me with was to find professional quotes. And then I went out and wanted to get options of high maintenance and colorful and vibrant, but that is costly. And then there are the options of low maintenance shrubs, and that would come, we have shrubs in downtown now, and they look phenomenal. They take trimming very easily. The grades can be placed back, again, so completely up to the board as to which way we actually lean.
So you're talking about the grates that occurred in, so not all the plants in the past had grates in them. So are we gonna put grates in all of them now in the future?
Whatever grates came off of Main, I do not have an accurate count. I've not asked the city crews to do that or the city manager.
Okay.
What grates were removed are now at our facility just being handled.
I just like, for example, I know about the 3 in front of mine and the 2, there's 8 on my row and none of them had grates in the past, so.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
So yeah, I
That
certainly,
grate, you're talking about the grate that
The main
go
grates.
through it, there's a hole in the middle of it.
Yes,
right?
yes,
It's around the trees, really, is what's where they're at now.
That limits what you put in there.
Yeah.
You put
Correct.
Grates back in.
yes, and that's where the shrubbery and the trees would come in hand. Now, I will say, Hemlocks was with the city of Jasper and the Chamber of Commerce a few years back when Main Street was looked at and the crepe myrtles were in place. Hemlocks did not suggest, and still does not suggest, a tree in every planter box being a crepe myrtle. There are other options, but that was one of his recommendations from a few years back. And so, again, describing the condition of the boxes now, both companies are aware that there are plantings there, and they're both in agreement that those plants can cohabitate. There's not an issue there.
I know that I told the city manager, Sonia, that one of the trees was actually, crepe myrtles was notched into the frame of the crates. So anyway, just brought that to everyone's attention. So what does everybody think?
If I may, I'm referring to the minutes of our last meeting that's on page 3. It's in the 3rd paragraph. Mr. Raffield stated that the cleanup with KPB is what the board would want to do. Then I would like to emphasize the word pause for quotes with the overall long-term goal not set in stone. The board can partner with the cleanup portion. When the soil is redone, we can have further conversation. So with that, and then we made the motion to do that, to pause on Main Street with any planting until the quotes were obtained. So it doesn't seem that that happened. So therefore, my recommendation, and I'm not a planter, would be looking more into the option 2 of something low maintenance with shrubs and flowering perennials. And again, that's without working with the words edible Jasper being used at all. That would only be a mix of ornamental shrubs and perennials. That would be my suggestion.
So that would be option
No, option number 2,
2.
if we have it in the budget.
Which would be the only item of these options presented, is that my
I would
understanding?
go with option 2 with the maintenance plan for the 24 beds and the crepe myrtles. That would be my suggestion.
So that would be 36.
if it's even in our budget, which if we need to skip on to budget, I don't know if this even needs a vote or if we need to table this.
And there's nothing wrong with tabling the action item. I certainly don't want to talk this to death, but what I will say is there are items in place currently in the bids. The community has seen action being taken. They understand that we are moving on this. If you want me to go back and gather more information in reference to the three options presented by both companies, I can, or just the one, completely up to the board.
Chairman, what I would say, first of all, I want to thank Mr. Raffield for his work on this. I think we're really close. This was one of the action items as the DDA board came together, so we could do something quick and noticeable by our community, and I think this falls into that category. I do, however, feel like as a relatively new DDA member, not having seen a budget or seen our financials or have been presented in a meeting, I don't feel I don't feel proper in spending the DDA's money when I haven't seen a financial report. So I'd be in favor of tabling this until such time as we can review those financials and make a better decision.
I completely agree with what Parish said about financials. We've not been cleared on where we are, what we've got money coming from, going to, and until we do, we don't need to spend the meeting.
May I address the DDA?
Sure.
So at present, the DDA doesn't have any budget. In my prior life, our outside agencies, our organizations that were attached to our city, they actually, the authorities were given budgets through the budgeting process. That hasn't been done here. I hope that that can be done in the future because there was a certain amount of outside organization funding that was set aside for those. But you don't necessarily have to have a budget at present to make a decision. You just need to know what's in your bank accounts. And that's $29,642.76. So, and that's all that you have coming out of that budget are your downtown plants and planning for your second Saturdays. Those are your two budget items that you have going on right now. It's not like you have a lot of expenses, you don't have electricity, you don't have water, sewer, building costs, you don't have any of that. You have two projects. One is your downtown plants and the other is your second Saturdays. So I'm not sure how much more of a budget that you need other than what you have in your bank accounts.
So, sorry, if I can ask this, the $20,000 that was put in there, was that from the city or was that from?
That was from the city. We have
Okay.
not received any match based on,
Okay.
the city gave that in good faith.
Okay.
So we have not received any match based on what was expressed to the city, that would be said. So, that we haven't received any of that yet.
Okay,
So-
I just
So
wanted to-
you've got the city's $20,000 in here in addition to the $9,642 that you had previously in that bank account. So like I said, you don't have a lot of operational lines. When you say budget, when you look at budget, you look at lots of operational lines. You guys have two. So I'm not sure how you want a two-line budget constructed. So, your items that you need to make a decision on are those two that I mentioned before, and then you can do that based on what you have in your bank account. And of course, from a process standpoint, the city will cut those checks for you.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, and I'm not trying to be crude to anyone, so please understand that. If budgetary constraints was a problem and the main concern, KPB has done this for free. I want this board to understand I will not alienate that group. They mean a lot to our community. They've acted in good faith outside of the parameters we put in place. I understand that. But I will ask, again, when we look at the quotes provided, there is a cost associated. What has been done, there is not a cost associated. And KPB is getting us partially there with the animal byproduct, the soil, and the mulch. The plantings, again, were what these professional companies said can cohabitate. They are something that they would recommend planting there. So it ultimately comes down to what we want in downtown instantly this season for the public to look at. Is it color and bright, or is it shrubbery? And I think that's really the battle, because there will be a cost associated one way or the other. If the body doesn't act, and we do talk it to death, the city will operate accordingly. That's the truth of it. City manager is correct in the fact that a line item budget, I do agree, and we will get there. The frustrating part for me is we can't get there until this season's over, because then we'll have multiple line items to build on. And so I would really ask the board to move on one of the options presented.
Any discussion?
No, this is the first time I've ever seen this document with the numbers. Yeah, okay, so, just so we're clear. I'd like to make a motion to adopt Mr. Raffield's recommendations.
Marty?
See, I understand the budgeting and money and everything, but I appreciate the stuff commenting that. I mean, you said the timing on this was crucial. If you say go with Hemlocks, so they're gonna be able to do this before it gets so hot for the plant.
That's where I'm going first, yes.
That's my first question. That, because then we can vote on it today and it's not been out. And can they have it done?
So I think what Marty's asking is for the motion to include execution within 30 days.
Amy?
No comment.
Sonny's at the table.
I hate to ask for comment in the middle of a motion, but I do want to make sure that, on top of what Sonia has said, that it's the city's every intent that this infant organization succeed. And I want to make sure that you understand that I'm behind you 100%. I'm also here tonight representing Mayor Lawrence. He called me to verify that I was going to be here, and that we're proud of what you're doing. We're proud of the strategic plan, which did include beautification of Main Street. And I think from personal experience, my plannings at my house haven't been done yet. And so I'll just say that I'm pretty sure that either one of these organizations will plant at the appropriate time, which is now. And usually I do conduct business with one of these organizations, and they defer their planning typically till after Easter. So that's my comment. Again, I'm sorry to interrupt your motion.
I'm going to recommend we do option 2.
So,
We have a motion
Mr. Chairman, you have a motion.
Oh, okay.
that has not received a second yet,
Second.
really not even open for discussion.
Yeah, that's right.
Second.
So we have a second. Any discussion?
And this would be within 30 days. Would that add to the
Yes,
motion?
we can put that in there.
Meaning, if it can't be done in 30 days, we don't commit to this? Is that what you're saying?
I believe that's, yes.
Are you comfortable with that? That's fine. Amend the motion to include, to have the plan put in place within 30 days.
Okay.
And this is the option that Kirk did present originally. Option 1 with the maintenance program. 1618. So $4,600.
Yes.
Is that the fee?
46 or 36?
40.
46.
46 or 36?
46.
The other one's 36. Which that's option 2.
Have a motion and a second.
All those in favor, Unit 405. Okay. So,
Thank you, Board. I will present the information to the vendor and report that information accordingly.
okay. All righty. Let's go a little bit further. And Kim, if you'll talk to us about Tda.
Hi, everyone. For those of you that have not met before, my name is Kim Goldner. I'm Assistant City Manager here. Wanted to come and talk to y'all tonight about a new grant program that DCA has funded as a result of their amended FY 2022 budget. The state has put $17 million towards DCA for a rural downtown redevelopment program. And this is kind of a fast track. They want to get projects in that are shovel ready to go. Grants are due, the applications are due by the beginning of June. They are hoping to make decisions by the end of June, and they want complete project work to be done within 2 years. So I don't know how many of you are familiar, hopefully all of you, with the TAP grant program that was applied for last year with Brandon Douglas. That was the revitalization, the pedestrian improvements, the streetscape improvements. I would propose that we use this project and add in the downtown restrooms as a part of that as well and apply for this. I'm a little cart ahead of the horse, unfortunately, because of timing, and this is something that has not been spoken to council about just yet, but we'll be presenting this next Monday night at the May council meeting for their approval and for their appropriation of the 10% matching funds. I don't see why we would not pursue that, though. Council has made it very clear that they're interested in downtown restrooms, and this might be an excellent way to pay for that project, along with the beautifications and the improvements to our downtown area. What I really wanted to ask for support for tonight was, should council approve it, is we will need some letters of support. It's very similar to what you provided last year. A little different though. We found out from the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission last week that the letters of support that you provided last year for the TAP grant were excellent. They're looking for a completely different kind of letter of support this year, and it would be a very limited number of letters that are not only committing a support, but providing some sort of commitment towards the project as well. If the city pursues and does this, then organizations, they're looking for places to step up and say, okay, maybe we will provide extra cleaning supplies for the restrooms or something like that. Or we might include that in the DDA's landscaping maintenance plan. I'm not advocating for any of those things, just giving you some examples. So we would like to get some letters of support specifically for the businesses that are closest to this area. And that's going to be that Mark Whitfield, Stegall Drive kind of intersection. Anyone that's real close in that area, if we can come up with some sort of letter of support on how this project will benefit that particular business, that's the kind of letters that we're looking for. I would like one though from DDA as well, just saying, you know, hey, this is going to be excellent for our community. We can see that this is going to go hand in hand with things like Second Saturday. These kind of improvements are going to give us the opportunity to expand and be able to do other things too. So, any questions?
So really what we're needing is not quantity, but quality.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with the letters that y'all did, but that is exactly it. We can only send 10 maximum letters. They don't want anything from our state senators or state representatives. They want letters from business owners that will be directly impacted by the improvements to downtown. And so I have not talked to Green about this, but obviously we want something from Grove Pickens, from the Chamber of Commerce, and then DDA as a whole, and then some areas around that. And so I'd ask for your help in maybe calling out who would be great people to pursue for those letters.
Okay, so it's just around where the bathrooms will be. Is there any other area besides that?
So the map, and I can certainly provide this to everyone if you haven't seen it before, but it's really kind of from the corner just to the north of the jail down to Stegall.
That's what I was thinking, okay.
Yeah, in that area, but really anyone could be impacted that's kind of in that general area downtown there. So, you know, it's improved sidewalks, improved curbs, the handicap accessible ramps, taking care of some safety issues down there. But then there's also some out of the box kind of, you know, street dining and being able to more effectively kind of close off the roads and things like that for activities that DDA would be sponsoring.
Okay.
So,
Any comments from the board? We're all go for this, we'll just have to
Okay.
review and see what we need to address, and we'll get started on it.
I will.
You need this by when, Kim?
So I would need the letters back, I think, maybe the 27th or the 28th of May at the very, very latest. I have a template started for you.
Okay, good.
I just didn't want to pass it out just
Right.
yet, not knowing how council will proceed. So
Okay.
just wanted to kind of get this on your radar though.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for talking to us about this again. Any other discussion from the board? Next, we have Marty, who's going to talk about our second Saturday.
Okay. I have enclosed in your packet, I believe, 3 sheets. There's 2. One with a map or a picture of downtown and strategically placed items. And you should have also the sponsor. At this point we have as far as funding, and also my goal action information form, which is an updated one I sent for the month of March. I'll just go through the goal information form and I'll probably refer to a couple of those documents. Does everybody have those available? Okay. I'll just skip the first section that talks about me and the, you know, who's doing this, what our obstacles and everything, and the dates that we're doing it. That hasn't changed. What has changed is step number 1 is I presented a report to this board last month. It was completed. We reported to the stakeholders. That's been completed. We presented a plan to the city for budget approval. That's been completed. We've contacted entertainment and set up contracts. That's in progress. We've created and started an advertising campaign with the Chamber and City. I did make some notes on that we're doing a Facebook event page, Instagram event banners for display, printable posters. We're using progress, no pickings, WLJA, video banners at the banking chamber. That's in progress. We reported to the task force. We're going to report 17 days and 10 days before our first event. We're having a meeting about that hopefully next Thursday, and we're going to evaluate after each event, and that's my goal for them. And then as you look at the other 2 sheets, working with Kirk and our logistics of the actual event day, we needed to look at, this is a very non-professional, I did it exactly with the picture that we had, and added a few diagrams to show you the aerial and the location of where we're going to try to set up. Where we'd have the barricades, the picnic tables that we can move up, where the stage would be located in front of the courthouse. It's not to scale, but it's just, you know, so far it's pretty first or second grade, as we would say.
Yeah, but it gives you.
It's great.
It'll give you an idea where it is from the aerial point of view, and, you know, we'll get it done where we're good. I've got to meet with the electrician tomorrow about a few things, and, you know, just some of the logistics that we need, that I'll be getting with Kirk with on that. And the third sheet is our, we want to thank the city for their budgetary sponsorship quote money that they gave us for the $20,000 that the council has voted for us to have to use for this 4-event summer project. We've also had a $2,500 sponsor from Piedmont Hospital. We're in the process of building our sponsorships, but we've had that donated, and we also have a private foundation gift, which I'll be meeting with an individual tomorrow to find out the details of that. So we have a $5,000 commitment from him as a pledge, And so that makes us $7,500 in addition to the 20, so we have $20,750 in our proposed budget for the event. Any questions?
What time is your meeting with the electrician tomorrow?
He said 8:39, but.
Okay, I can meet with you tomorrow.
Okay,
I'm off.
all right. Yeah, okay, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I'll, yeah, so. Any other questions about any details, or? We're in the promoting stage right now, I think, and we're gonna be doing a lot of little things with banners and some things that I think will bring some traffic to this.
Marty, I'm gonna show this to the crowd. This is what it looks like. This, Marty and some other people have done a lot of fantastic work with social media, and so that will be put out as well. We're gonna push forward with that. And look forward to all the hard work you've done, and I know it's been a lot of work, and I appreciate everything you've done.
We've got 2 bands for the first night too, so we've got an opener band from 4 to 6, which is a real good band plays, and 6 to 9 too, so.
That's good, I didn't know that, so that's
So
great.
we're good to go.
All right, do you have a discussion with anybody? Amy? Kurt?
No, I just want to curtail on the push for the social media, and the media put it out
Right.
that Cindy DeMaio has taken charge of
Yeah,
your
so it's Cindy.
social
She's
media,
my
and
social media.
she's done a
She's
great
my
job.
promotions chair, so she's, have got a few other, Kirk Logistics and a few other folks that are working on that. So I've got a committee of a few that we're building off the larger committee that we started with. So, yeah, Cindy's been doing a lot of work with it. Get a chance to see her, thank her for that.
Okay, thanks, Marty. Next thing on the agenda is the financial report. Dave was supposed to be able to do that. He's not here. He had some work that he had to do, but as Sonia said, we're $29,642.76. But the main thing we know is our board, that we have to keep up with get a spreadsheet and keep up who's got what, and so we will be doing that ourselves and passing it on to the city and letting them know what we got and try to stay on top of that. So I just wanted that to be known. The next item is the Perrow Park update. And Amy, would you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. We met with, it's Jack, me, and Marty. And there's a total of 11 people currently that is, I guess they're calling it the Perrow Park team. We're just in concept phase as of right now. We just met with the original plan that was made by Scott Gordon. Yes, Scott Gordon's plan. We just got some input from the group that was there. Kind of a lighthearted meeting. We looked at ideas: restrooms, market trails, overlooks, amphitheater, parking trails. Splash pad was mentioned. Yeah, we have a lot of things to discuss and talk about moving forward. This is a project that is partnership with DDA, City of Jasper, a lot of people that have been working really hard on this for about 10 years actually, I think, 8 to 10 years. Like I said, it's just in the concept phases currently. We don't have a next meeting date set, but we will update this DDA board as that is moving forward. Any questions on the Perrow project from this board?
Some of the things that was discussed, just to let you know, was if we were looking at phases, what would we want? And that was one of the things we had to submit to Jim. And so a lot of activity, a lot of involvement, and I look forward to moving forward with this because this is well overdue, and so we look forward to it.
It's a very exciting project.
It is.
Very
So
exciting
much.
project.
Okay. Next item is a consideration of approval to add Parish Lowry to our Business Development Committee. Parish has done a lot already and is very knowledgeable in the business sector. So I'd like to have a nomination of putting him on the Business Committee from this board. And can I have a nomination for it?
I'll make a motion.
All right, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. Parish, we look forward to your input, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Discussion, recommendation to open to the DDA position is available. We, as the board, have been looking around and trying to figure out a person that we thought was knowledgeable and would help us in this area. And so we're going to submit a name of Joanna Kearns, who's a realtor here in town, lives in town and has a business in town. So if I want to submit that to the council as well as Steve and Sonia. Lastly, I'm very proud of this next item because we're updating our strategic planning, and what we've done is, with the addition of Tara Bradshaw, she set us forth some guidelines, and so we took that and sort of run with it. And I talked to Tara today, by the way, but she's no longer in the community of Georgia Community Cares. She was very proud of what we've done. So I'm going to tell you that we're going to have a board behind us here in just a minute. And so we've got 3 transformation goals that were set forth with the Jasper strategies. So the first one is foundation building. The Jasper DDA will build a basic foundational elements for the sustainable operation of the board and downtown revitalization program. So we have, let's see, with that one, we have,
Where's my check sheet?
I got the sheet right here.
Page 5.
Yep. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12. We've got 12 goals on this particular item, and we have achieved 4 of those. The first one is bylaws.
I know you can't see this, but
It's bylaws, so we're going to check that off. The next one is mission and vision statement. We're going to check that one off as well. Number 3, develop social media policy and plan. That's number 3. And number 4 is identify and engage the community partners and stakeholders, and that's going to be for the second Saturday. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have conquered 4 of these goals already, and this is outstanding in my opinion because we're staying on task and doing what we're supposed to do. The next one we have is a business activation and development foundation. Jasper DDA will work to activate currently vacant sectors of the downtown through recruitment and support the growth and development of already established businesses. So with that one, maybe we've only got one, but it's develop downtown property and businesses inventory database. And I'm gonna just say that Amy and her son did this on their own. Just right after Tara Bradshaw brought this up, we had it done within hours. So that was achieved. The last one is authentic and beautification, well-designed downtown. We have 2 in this one. Jasper DDA will work to enhance the unique identity of downtown, improving its visual appeal and emphasize the historically integrity of the buildings and public realm to strengthen the connection of the community to the downtown. And in that particular item, our foundation, we got develop and implement landscape and maintenance plan, which is what we talked about tonight. And then the last one was collaborative planning with the city for the Perrow Park project. So you can see we've been working hard. We believe what Tara Bradshaw brought forward to this group, and we are taking that task and moving forward with it. And I'm very pleased with what's going on. We have an information form which is just goes through all the necessity items that you need when you start talking about these particular goals, and we're staying on task with that. So we're moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you'll approve what we're doing for you. With that, has anybody else got anything else they'd like to add? With that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for all y'all's input today.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.